Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving into a marketing mystery that I'm willing to bet sounds painfully familiar to a lot of you. It's a story of a campaign that, on paper, looks like a huge success, but in reality, delivers nothing. We're going to crack the case of the Zero Lift Study.
So, it all starts with a report that looks something like this. You've spent the budget, you put in the hours, and this is what you get back. A single, kind of brutal sentence, no detectable lift. Basically, it means that for all your effort, nothing really happened. And that is the exact problem we're here to unpack.
And this is where it gets really weird. You look at the metrics on the left and everything seems great. You reached almost 1 million people, you got a solid video completion rate, spending was steady, looks good, right? But then you look at the brand lift results on the right, and it's a completely different story. Zero. No lift in ad recall, no lift in awareness, nothing for consideration. So how can both of these things be true?
Well, clearly the dashboard wasn't telling us the whole story. So to get to the truth, we had to go deeper. It was time to launch a full investigation and figure out what was really going on behind all those numbers.
Okay, so first, let's look at the campaign setup. It's all pretty standard stuff. A $20,000 budget, running on YouTube through DV360, trying to move the needle on those key brand metrics with some 15-second and 6-second videos. You know, on the surface, this all looks totally fine, which honestly just made that zero lift result even more confusing.
Now here we go. This is our first major clue, and it was hiding in plain sight. The campaign reached nearly 1 million people, which sounds awesome. But look at the frequency, 1.1. That means, on average, each person only saw the ad about 1 time. Just remember that number, 1.1. It's going to be really important in a minute. And that brings us right back to the official verdict. Even after reaching all those people, the study said there was no statistical proof that a single person's opinion had changed. The dashboard was just a flat line. It was pretty clear we had to stop trusting the summary and start digging into the raw data. So, after digging through everything, the delivery data, the survey responses, even the ad creative itself, 4 hidden culprits started to surface. And these weren't just simple little mistakes. No, these were fundamental flaws in the strategy that pretty much guaranteed a bad result from the get-go.
Remember that 1.1 frequency? Well, here it is again. This is our culprit number 1. Reaching 1 million people sounds amazing, but only showing them your ad once? When you're trying to actually change someone's mind, a single impression is like a whisper in a hurricane. It's just not enough to get noticed.
And here's why that's a problem. For a message to really sink in, for it to actually change how someone thinks about your brand, they have to see it more than once. The data usually shows that the sweet spot is somewhere between 2 and 4 views. At just 1.1, this campaign never even gave its message a fair shot. Okay, on to culprit number 2. This one is all about the ad itself. And this timeline, it shows the problem perfectly. The video starts playing, but the brand, the logo, the product, anything, it doesn't even show up until 10 seconds in. I mean, let's be honest. When was the last time you watched a YouTube ad for a full 10 seconds before hitting that skip button?
Exactly. And the data backs this up. The video completion rate was only 35%. That means 65% of the audience, the vast majority, was gone before the brand even appeared. But they were still counted in the exposed group for the study. How can you have an opinion on a brand you never even saw? This one flaw just completely contaminated the data.
Culprit number 3 is a really tricky one, because usually this is a good thing: niche targeting. The campaign was laser-focused on very specific audiences, and while that's great for driving conversions, it can totally backfire when you're trying to run a brand lift study.
Here's why. A brand lift study needs a large, stable group of people to survey to get reliable results. By targeting such a tiny niche, the campaign made the pool of people they could survey way too small. This meant they got fewer survey responses, the data was all over the place, and you just couldn't be confident in the results. The study just didn't have enough data to work with.
And that brings us to our final culprit. This is a classic measurement problem called the ceiling effect. It's basically what happens when you're trying to improve a number that's already really, really high.
So in this case, the brand was already a household name in its industry. Most people, whether they saw the ad or not, already knew who they were. That baseline awareness was so high, it would have taken a massive, massive campaign to push it any higher. With a smaller budget, the campaign was trying to fill a cup that was already pretty much full. There just wasn't any room left for measurable growth.
So with our 4 culprits identified, it was time to stop pointing fingers and start fixing things. The point wasn't to blame anyone, but to build a better strategy. So a clear 5-step optimization plan was put together to tackle every single one of those issues we uncovered.
And here's that plan. First, fix the frequency. Let's aim for at least 2.5 views per person so the message actually sticks. Second, fix the ad. Re-edit it so the branding appears in the first 3 seconds. Third, fix the targeting. Let's broaden the audience just enough to get reliable data. Fourth, add some retargeting to reinforce the message. And finally, set a minimum budget to make sure the campaign has enough gas in the tank to work. Simple, logical fixes for every single problem.
So the brand took all of these recommendations and implemented every single one in their very next campaign. But the big question was still hanging in the air. Would fixing these 4 things actually turn the results around? It was time to find out.
And oh, did they turn around. The results speak for themselves. It was a total transformation. Ad recall jumped by almost 8%, awareness went up over 4%, and consideration grew by more than 3%. The campaign went from 0 to significant positive lift across every single metric they cared about.
And what's more, the statistical confidence for these results was 94%. In simple terms, that means we can be super sure that this lift was real. It wasn't just a random fluke in the data. The plan didn't just work. It delivered a result the brand could actually count on.
Which really brings us to the core lesson of this whole mystery. A brand lift study isn't just counting how many times your ad was on a screen. It's measuring if that ad was truly seen, if it was processed, and if it was absorbed by a real person. It proves that the quality of an impression is so much more important than the quantity.
And that leaves us with one final question to think about. When you get that no lift result, is it really a failure? Or is it actually your most important signal? A diagnostic tool that's telling you exactly what part of your strategy is broken. Because maybe the best insights don't come from the campaigns that go perfectly, but from taking the time to understand the ones that don't.